just please letting us know in the chat where you're tuning in from. And we'd also love to know what industry you're in. We have our support team from Plan in the chat, so if you have any questions, feel free. But quickly, I'd love to just say that I'm joined by some amazing guest speakers today. It is so exciting to have them here. I think combined, we worked out that we have like 25 years of social media experience, which is crazy. It makes me feel a little bit old. But yeah, we have Jara tuning in from Australia, Kat is coming in from Canada, and Sarah from Miami, and I'm also in the US as well.
Token Aussie.
I love the accent. It's one of my favorite parts of working at Plan. I feel like I'm like, why am I the one filming the tutorials when I have the boring accent? And we also have the founder of Plan in the chat, which is Christy. I know, Christy, I didn't get the bright blazer memo, apparently. Well, as everyone kind of filters in, I'll go ahead and I think we can get started. We have a bunch of stuff to get into today. So let me go ahead and move on to the second slide. Before you guys introduce yourselves, hi, Angel. Hello, Stephanie. Hello, Hay from Sydney. Great. Well, we're super excited to have you here. I would love to go around and just introduce our guest speakers, and I'll hand it off to each of you. So Sarah, if you wouldn't mind kicking us off, that would be wonderful.
Of course. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'm so excited. I'm here in sunny Miami, and I have my own business, but I first started in video 17 years ago, and I worked in television for over 14 years. At the biggest studios in the world. You might know some of them: ESPN, ABC News, MTV. And at these studios, I created integrated marketing campaigns for brands such as Disney, Apple, and Amazon. So during 2020, I lost my job. I was pregnant with my husband, and I lost our jobs, and I started just creating video. And then other brands, local brands who had been shut down by the pandemic, saw the videos that I was creating, and they told me, whatever you're doing, please do that for my brand. And that's where my business started. So now I create video content, impactful video content for local businesses. And I also teach people how to create cinematic quality video content from the comfort of their iPhones. That's me in a nutshell.
That's awesome, Sarah. We're so excited to have you. Even the Plan team, we were like looking at all your tips on these slides, and we're all like in our phone, like changing all our settings, updating everything to 4K. So I'm really excited to have you here. And I'd love, Jara, I know you have personally helped out at Plan and have helped Plan with our own strategy and content. So we're very familiar with you, but I'd love for you to introduce yourself to the audience.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. As you said, I've worked with Plan since the beginning of my business, which was almost 5.5 years ago now. I started my business when I was 19 as a social media freelancer, and I was just doing social media management, and Plan has literally been with me from when I started, when I was 19, just doing freelance work, to now being a full digital marketing agency. And Plan supported us throughout that whole journey, which was really cool. But what we specialize in is organic social media management, so organic strategies, and social media management, content creation. But then also on the flip side of that, we do paid ads management as well. So I love Instagram ads, TikTok ads, Facebook ads to support your organic strategy. So I'm really excited to dive into all of that with you guys today.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm super excited too, Jara, because I think ads can be like really intimidating, especially for small businesses. And I know towards the end, you have some really great slides, just like breaking that down and really simplifying it. So that's going to be great. And then Kat, which I'm just so obsessed with your sweater. I can't stop looking at it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kat, and I own Sister Kat Media, a social media agency, and I'm based in a very small town in Ontario, not far from Toronto. I'm a mom of 2, and I'm really passionate about helping small business owners build sustainable social media strategies so that we can live our lives and run our businesses and not always have to be on social.
I love that. So important. And I think, Kat, it was your tip. And you said to us, you were like, small businesses deserve to promote their Black Fridays just as much as like big corporations do. And I just thought that was so like beautiful to say, because it's true. I think small businesses can feel really intimidated, or like they're not worthy of promoting their products and having that kind of huge strategy and preparation. But they're exactly who we're speaking to today. And we're going to give you guys all the tools to be able to really, not need to have like a 10-person marketing team, but feel really confident going into Black Friday. And going off of that, I will quickly just run you guys.
Greta, I'm not sure if it's just me, but I can't hear you.
I can't hear you.
Hello.
Okay, you're back.
I'm back. Sorry about that. I was just saying that I'll quickly go over what each of you will be covering so our audience knows what they can expect in the upcoming slides. So Jara, you'll be covering how to create custom social media strategy. And then Sarah's going to go ahead and walk us through creating video content that converts. Kat will be focusing on how to stand out from the online crowd. Jara will then come back and give you guys a bunch of actionable tips on how to build your sales funnel. I'm going to quickly cover a planned feature with all of you that's really going to help support your Black Friday and turn your Instagram into a shoppable store. And then at the very end, we will be answering some questions. So if you have any questions during any of the slides, please leave them in the chat and our team will actually compile all of them for the end. So make sure to stay tuned at the end for those answers. So very quickly, you might be wondering, what is Black Friday? If you don't know, although it's huge everywhere. Black Friday and Cyber Monday, which are usually come hand in hand, is a 5-day shopping bonanza. It officially starts after Thanksgiving Day here in the US. But we've found that year over year, retailers and like online stores constantly kind of push it up even earlier and start selling earlier. There are some golden hours of e-commerce specifically. We found they're between 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. And that's where most people are doing their spending. And they're spending a US $2.6 billion between these 4 hours, which is just crazy. And I'm definitely part of those people spending all that money in the late night. Kat, you mentioned earlier, this was a couple weeks ago when Plan came to you and asked for like a tip for Black Friday, just, your feelings about Black Friday. And what you said to us was that you feel small businesses really deserve to like promote their Black Fridays just as much as the big corporations. And we really believe that too. You might be wondering too, what social media's role is when it comes to Black Friday. And it attracts customers to your offers and items. It also can showcase to your audience where and how to purchase your products. It gives a platform a two-way conversion between business and consumer. It also extends your reach to audiences that you may not have been able to access to. And you can do this by creating shareable content. And it's also a great opportunity for UGC content and offers a lot of social proofing. So this is why social media is so important when it comes to Black Friday and why we're so focused on bringing social media experts to you. And with that being said, I'd love to kick it off with Jara. She's going to be covering how to create a custom social media sales strategy.
Amazing. Thanks, Greta. So I'm very excited to talk about this topic today because I think the word strategy or the concept of having a strategy can sound and feel really intimidating if you haven't had one before. So for those of you who haven't had one before or you haven't seen, I guess, what the gurus are doing, what the experts are doing, a strategy can sound like the most complex thing ever. So if you're wondering where on earth to start with an actual strategy, you're not alone. But I want to assure you that there's actually no right or wrong answer when it comes to building a custom social media strategy for your business. And I really encourage you to figure out what it is that works for you and trial and test different things. So I'm going to run you guys through today what I'm looking at in this strategy when I'm building strategies for both my business Jam Packed and also our clients. But I think it's my opinion that we are often overcomplicating what actually needs to be in a strategy, and it prevents us from actually just diving in and getting it done. So if we move to the next slide, I wanted to run through at a top level what your social media strategy could or should be answering. So I've said could because I don't think that you absolutely need to do all of these things, and there's also extra things that you can definitely add into your strategy depending on your industry, depending on your strengths as a business. But these are generally the core questions that you want to be answering within your business and social media strategy. So the first one is, what is your purpose on social media? So that one's obviously thinking, okay, we're on social media obviously because you need to be to show up in front of your audience, but what is your actual purpose? Are you on there to build a community? Are you on there to generate sales? Getting very clear on and having a purpose statement for why you're on social media will be very helpful when you're putting together your content, because you'll be able to come back to, okay, we're putting together this post, but what's the actual purpose of it? Am I just putting out content for content's sake, or am I actually putting together purpose-led content? And then further into that, you want to have at least 3 really specific goals for your social media presence. And often that can be something like, okay, we want to achieve 5,000 followers by X date. And instead of just writing out the goal, what I like to do is write out the goal, but then also what will that mean for my business? So if I get 5K followers, what does that actually mean? And I think once you attach a meaning to your goal, it's so much easier to actually stay on track with it, actually feel motivated to achieve it, and actually measure it as well. So when you have a specific goal, I'm sure many of you have heard that before, that you want to have it as specific as possible in terms of a timeline, what it is that you're wanting to achieve, and also what it means for your business if you were to achieve it. Thirdly, you want to look at who you're speaking to and who you're trying to attract. And what I like to do as a step further when I'm looking at that is looking at, what are they currently feeling? What does my audience currently feel without my product or service in their lives? Are they frustrated? Are they stressed? Are they anxious? Are they overwhelmed? Are they confused? What are they feeling when it comes to the problem that you solve before they have actually engaged with your product or service? Because once you understand that, when you're putting together your social media posts, when you're putting together your copy, when you're putting together your tone of voice, you can have those feelings in mind and you can make sure that you're addressing that feeling. So for example, if you were a chiropractor, and I've just thought of this example off the top of my head because my dad's a chiropractor, but let's say you're a chiropractor and you actually have been experiencing back pain for a really long time, but you don't actually know that chiropractic is the solution or how it's actually going to help you. So your audience is feeling overwhelmed by options because there's physio, there's, you can go to your GP for drugs, maybe you need surgery, maybe it's certain exercises that you need to be doing. You don't actually know what the answer is. So if you know that about your audience, you know they're feeling confused and overwhelmed with options, you can put together content that specifically addresses that pain point and that feeling that they're experiencing. And then as a step further, when you're kind of thinking, okay, what are they feeling right now? You want to ask yourself, what do I want them to feel? And that's going to be one of my next points is, how do you want them to feel when they consume your content? So obviously they're feeling overwhelmed with all the options or whatever it might be within their life. But then how will your content actually change the way that they're feeling? And what kind of content can you put together that's going to make them feel seen, heard, and understood? Then you want to look at what the pain points are within their life that you feel your business can help solve. So obviously, if we come back to maybe let's use a hairdresser as an example this time. If I was looking for somebody to do my hair, my pain points might be, I'm feeling a little bit nervous to try a new hair salon. Maybe my pain points are that I have been dyeing my hair blonde my whole life, and now it's dead or something, and I'm wanting to go brunette, and I'm not sure how what the process is for that. I'm just speaking from experience again here. And then obviously once you understand those pain points within your audience's lives, you can then create content that specifically addresses those pain points. So you can say, okay, we're noticing a lot of people coming in who are going from blonde to brunette. Let's put out some content that's actually addressing that specific journey and making them feel comfortable to come to us and ask questions about that. Another pain point, and using maybe my business as an example, is the pain points that my audience is probably experiencing as business owners is that they feel really overwhelmed, or they don't know what they don't know when it comes to social media. So they are confused with, okay, should I be doing this kind of content? How do I put together a strategy, for example? And so the content that I would be putting out there would be actually teaching them about that and addressing that pain point, so that when they consume my content and they learn something from my content and gain value from it, they're actually looking at me and thinking, okay, well, if I'm getting this much value just from following her posts, imagine the kind of value that I can expect if I actually was to work with her business one-on-one. So you can see how, if it feels like, you're kind of giving away free advice with these pain points, it's going to come back to you, because if people are gaining value, again, from watching your posts and consuming your content, you're going to be the obvious choice when they're ready to invest in those personalized services with somebody within your industry. And then I always like to look at about 3 to 5 content pillars, which is essentially a content theme that you want to incorporate into your posting schedule. And I'm going to dive way more into that in the next couple of slides. And then further to that, you want to look at, okay, what are some examples of each pillar, which again, we'll dive into. What platforms are we going to use? So obviously, do you want to be focusing on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok? Where is your audience hanging out? How much content are you actually going to create per month? Again, you want to be really realistic here and set realistic goals for yourself in terms of what you can actually create per month across each platform. And then lastly, but very importantly, how are you going to measure the success of your content and social media strategy? Is it the engagement? Is it the followers? Is it the conversations that you're sparking in your DMs? Is it the amount of traffic that you're getting from your organic social media? What actual metrics are you going to be tracking to measure the success of this strategy? So moving on to the next slide, if we can. So I touched on the content pillars, and I wanted to dive into this a little bit deeper, because I think that having content pillars is absolutely, well, I'm not going to say the most important, but it's definitely up there with one of the most important aspects of your social media strategy. The reason being is because then you can, when you're putting together your content, you can make sure that you're hitting each of these pillars within every monthly content schedule, for example, instead of just putting your content on autopilot and just writing a caption for the sake of it, putting out content for the sake of it. These content pillars will always bring you back to what your purpose is on social media, what the key messages you're trying to get across as a business are, and that kind of thing. So these are the 4 pillars that I focus on at Jam Packed with our content. And I think that these can be applied to pretty much any business, whether you're service-based or product-based. If you feel that you're missing a content pillar from here, absolutely add them in, but this is generally what you want to be starting with. The first one is value. So this content pillar focuses on giving your audience as much value as possible by generously sharing our knowledge on digital marketing. So that's what Jam Packed does. And I kind of touched on that before. If we are constantly teaching our audience about digital marketing, we're going to be the obvious choice when they're looking for those personalized services, because we would have built up so much trust between us and our audience when they're looking for a social media manager or a paid ads manager, for example. The next one is relatability. And I think this is so important. I think every single business should have this as one of their content pillars. This one in particular focuses on our audience. So in other words, on how our audience feels, what their struggles are that we can help with. And it focuses on how we want our audience to feel when they see our content, which is usually validated, inspired, endeared, motivated, excited. They're having light bulb moments. We want this content in this pillar to essentially make our audience feel seen, heard, understood, and motivated to reach out and take action with us for more of this feeling and to take the next steps. So, for example, when I'm putting together relatability content pillar content, I'm thinking, okay, how is a business owner feeling right now? Are they feeling a bit nervous about the climate? Are they feeling a bit stressed that we're coming up to the end of the year and there's Black Friday and everything's happening? And I'm putting together posts that are actually relatable for those business owners. And when your content is relatable, I think your content becomes 100 times more memorable. So your brand awareness will increase because people will remember relating to your content and feeling seen and understood by your content. Thirdly, we have promotional. So this goes back to you as a business. It goes back to who you are. And it focuses on raising awareness of what we actually do and what we sell. So without being overly salesy, at Jam Packed, what we would do is probably share things like case studies, we'd share testimonials, maybe a breakdown of our services, a behind the scenes video of what we get up to in a day. So instead of just talking about what we do and what we sell, we actually show our audience. So for example, I saw in the chat that there's a tattoo artist in the group watching. So you would actually maybe want to do some behind the scenes content of you servicing your clients and doing the services that you offer, so that raises awareness of what you're doing rather than just putting up a graphic saying, I'm a tattoo artist, here's a list of my services, if that makes sense. And then lastly, we have connection. So this content pillar focuses on building a really strong relationship with you as a brand and your audience. And how we do this is we'll do it by allowing our audience to get to know our team, get to know why we're different, what our values are, what our mission is, why we started Jam Packed in the first place. And one of my favorites is actually just sharing the journey of Jam Packed and of this business as we go along. So we share the triumphs that we have as a business when we land an exciting client or when someone's promoted or when we get a new exciting gig as an agency. We'll share that with our audience. But I've also been very transparent as a business owner and as a business in terms of sharing when things aren't so great either. So it might be, for example, I shared a story recently about how I was pitching to this dream client of mine. I really wanted them as a social media management client, pitched to them for 4 months, and they ended up going with a different agency. And I shared that story and I shared what I learned from it and how obviously it wasn't the outcome that I wanted, but it ended up meaning that we had space for this other client that ended up coming in. So sharing those behind the scenes stories that aren't so glamorous, and they're also sharing the challenges that you experience as a person, as a business owner, is really beautiful when it comes to building that connection with your audience. And that is hands down how I built my business within the first 2 years of running Jam Packed. It was sharing those real stories and building those relationships online. So yeah, a really important one there as well. I think that's, do I have another slide here? Yeah, okay. So some final tips for building your custom strategy is not to do it alone. I think that when you combine brain power with the people who know your business or who know social media, you come away from that strategy day or strategy brainstorming session with so many more ideas, so many different perspectives. So I really encourage you to, if you have a team, come together as a team, block out maybe a whole day to look at that strategy and brainstorm ideas, put it into a concrete document, or even reach out to a social media strategist like myself if you're looking for somebody who's an expert in the industry to actually grab your ideas that you've already got and put them into an actual structure for you. I recently did this with my team. We had a full strategy day where we sat down, we planned out our entire strategy, and there's no way that the strategy would have been as good as it was if I'd done all of that by myself. So definitely encourage you to do it with a team. And if you are looking at your competition, because I know that it's very easy to do that, I want to encourage you to try and look at what your competition are doing not so well versus what they are doing well. And instead of trying to replicate what they're already doing well, try and look at, okay, where are the gaps in my competitors' content and where can I do a little bit better than this? Are they lacking on Instagram stories? Are they maybe lacking on video content? Are they lacking on one of the pillars that we just covered in the previous slides? So yeah, try to stay in your own lane. But if you are looking at your competition, identify those gaps instead of what you can replicate. I think that's the end.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Jara. That was wonderful. And we're definitely taking a page from your book. We should do an in-person strategy day at Plan. I know Christy's watching, so maybe you're going to have to get me a ticket to Australia so we can all get together as a team and work on our strategy. But yeah, thank you so much. I love those actionable tips as well. Now on to our video queen, Sarah. I'm really excited. As I said before, we've all been taking notes on how to change our settings on our phone to get the best video. And so I'm going to let you take it away here.
Thank you so much. And as you said, you were taking notes on the video things, but I'm so glad that you put Jara first, because there is no video without this strategy that she laid out. So it was perfect. I'm so glad that it worked out this way. It was perfect. But I want to ask you guys on the chat. I know there's a little bit of a delay, so you can answer me here in a second. But I want to ask you, if a complete stranger that you've never met in person, if I were to ask you to drink whatever is in this cup, what would you say? You don't know what it is and you don't know me. Well, most likely, you're probably not going to drink it because you don't know me. And that's exactly the power of video. The power of video is transparency. It's transparency and I forgot. I got a little bit of deer in the headlights, but it's transparency and that's exactly why 89% of consumers are convinced to make a purchase after watching a video, because it creates trust. You can it's like bringing someone into your house and seeing and almost stripping yourself down to your vulnerabilities, and that helps other people feel comfortable. And that's exactly why consumers are actually more likely to click on a video ad, 27 times more likely to click on a video ad than a static banner. And just think about it. When was the last time that you were convinced to buy a product because you saw a generic Canva ad? Probably not. And this happened to me a couple weeks ago because I was buying some utensils for my toddler who's 2 years old, and people are more likely to pay a premium price for a product that they've seen on video versus one that doesn't have a video. And it happened to me last week. I bought, or a couple weeks ago, I bought utensils that were $13 over $5 utensils just because they demonstrated how it was easy for the toddler to hold it and bring it into his mouth. I was sold. So one of the reasons that marketers, business owners are afraid of video is because they think there's a huge investment. If you're afraid of this, don't worry, because this investment is coming back to you, because the ROI on video has been on an incline year over year. Last year, the ROI, marketers said that the ROI on video was 87%. And this year, it already jumped 5% to 92%. Now, let's imagine next year. So if you're going to start creating video this year, we can guess that next year is probably gonna go up as well. And this is according to a HubSpot statistics. But there are 3 reasons why business owners don't use video yet until you watch this. Most likely, a lot of times, people just don't know where to start. That lack of knowledge just makes you freeze. You don't know what equipment you need. There's so many lights, ring lights, mics. You don't know what to use. You're not a technical person and you don't have the budget. Next slide. Okay. But get ready to be blown away. I'm going to be showing you how to create cinematic quality content from the comfort of your iPhone, so you don't have to invest in all this. So we can start small. So a lot of people think that in order to create high converting video content, you need a lot of money and that fancy camera, when in reality, oh, you can go to the next slide. All you really need is your iPhone. And when I left television in 2020, I was blown away how consumers didn't know that most iPhones shoot in 4K quality, which is the exact same quality that we watch films in the cinema. When we go and watch films, we have the power in our hands to create 4K quality, which is cinematic Hollywood quality on our phones, but we need to know the know-how on how to get there. And the best part is that 75% of consumers view videos on their iPhones, and this is increasing every single year. So it's very convenient because first of all, if you get one of those fancy cameras, it's probably going to be horizontal. And you're going to have to maneuver it this way and learn how to use it and use an instruction manual. Who reads instructional manuals anyway? We want something intuitive like an iPhone. If my grandma, 96-year-old grandma, can still use an iPhone, my son, my 2-year-old son can use an iPhone, you can use an iPhone to shoot video. So it's 75% of people are already using on their mobile, so you can just shoot vertically. And you can also edit with free apps on your phone. So we're going to get to the free apps here in a bit and the ones that I recommend for you. Both that are very intuitive, both from beginners to advanced. But one of the things that we really need to understand are two numbers. This is video, but there's just 2 digits that you need to learn. And it's the resolution and the frame rates. This is usually found on the top right corner of your cell phones. I believe it's also on the Android. And these are the 2 words that you need to know: resolution and frame rates. Resolution is the quality. Think of it. Have you ever zoomed into a video, or actually a picture or video? Zoom in, and you can continue zooming in, and you see the quality, versus a video or a picture that's lower quality. You'll zoom in twice and it's already pixelated. This is the resolution. So the higher the resolution, the better the quality. So you want to keep your videos between 1080 and 4K. I always shoot in 4K. Obviously, it takes up more space in your iPhone. And then the frame rates. The frame rates, think of it as how many pictures there are in 1 second of video. So 60 frames per second, which is the second number, means that there's 60 pictures within 1 second of video, which means that your video is going to be very smooth. And then 30, but I recommend between 30 frames per second or 60 frames per second. Don't use 50, don't use 24, because it doesn't work with social. So 24 frames per second is actually cinematic quality, but you don't want to use that for social because the compression rates. So go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So if you want to take a picture of these are the settings I recommend to get the best quality video on your cell phone to be uploaded onto social media. I recommend 4K to shoot in 4K and 30 frames per second. 30 frames per second is best because I'm assuming that you won't always have the best lighting. Because 60 frames per second will darken a little bit the lighting, while 30 frames per second will open up a little bit the lighting. So those are the settings, and you can go ahead and screenshot it or take a picture of it so that you can keep it handy. Now, another thing that's really important is the editing and So you not only need to know how to shoot, you need to know how to export. I promise this is just 2 steps. So you shoot, and I always recommend you to shoot in 4K or 1080 resolution, and then the frames per second, 60 or 30. And now when we export it, exporting means that you're editing the video and saving it onto your cell phone's camera roll. That's what exporting means. It's not going to go to China or anywhere. It's going to stay on your camera roll. So when you're exporting your videos, we recommend, if you're shooting in 4K, export it at 4K or 1080. and then export it at 60 or 30 frames per second. You don't want to go up. So if you're shooting in 1080, your raw footage in 1080, you should not export to 4K because you can't increase the quality. You can only decrease. So always shoot down when you export instead of shoot up. And then these are the editing recommendations. They all have free trials available, so you can play with it before you invest in it. And a lot of times they're not that expensive, maybe $30 per year, $60 per year. At tops, maybe $69 per year. They tend to be very intuitive, but I recommend you to play around with the InShot app if you're a beginner. The CapCut is very popular on social media because it has so many features, so many effects. But if you're a beginner, you're going to be overwhelmed by the amount of effects. But once you graduate from InShot, which is the beginner, you can move on to CapCut. Video Leap is if you're very advanced. I actually use Video Leap for my clients' projects because it's the best at retaining the quality. This is an Adobe. It's an Adobe product, so it's meant for professional videographers. So Video Leap really retains the quality, keeps it crisp, when sometimes CapCut tends to, when it exports it, I notice it. You probably won't notice it. But yeah, those are my 3 recommendations for editing. But so now we know that we can create content from the comfort of our iPhones. And now we know the settings, we know what editing products to use, how to export, but now we don't even know where to start. Where do we start with creating content? What kind of content should I even start with? Should I chase these trends? Should I dance? Should I look up these music trending audios? And like Jara said, should I copy my competition? No. So you're going to focus on yourself and your own product. So these are my recommendations with the 3 videos. If we're going to start, and this is not my first rodeo, going from 0 sales to sold out in 30 days. In 2020, I helped a scarf brand, a local scarf brand, go from 0 sales. They had never done video before until they contacted me. We went 30 days straight creating video content. We did tutorials, we did demos, we did UGC content, and then testimonials. And by Black Friday, she was completely sold out. Her name, she's Scarf Me. It was Scarf Me USA. So these are the 3 types of video for these next 30 days. If you haven't created video, create them every single day. So what you're going to show is the life of your ideal client before they had your product and the life after. So I'm not talking about those cringy before and after videos where it's like you have this horrible acne and then all of a sudden on the other side, it's like this perfect face. No, it's the life. You got to focus on the life. What was their life like before? What were their struggles? And what is their life like now? People want to live vicariously through you and through your clients. So, and if you don't have a subject to tell the story, you can act it yourself. And then the other one is tutorials on how to use your product or demo videos. Basically, like this example says, meet the computer backpack. And it opens up and it shows all these amazing pockets and all the space that it has when it's a very small compact bag. And then so just use these 2 videos consistently. And then the other one is FAQs about your product or testimonial videos. So answer frequently asked questions that you get, and also use testimonial videos from, as Jara was talking about, user-generated content. And even if you have to do it in exchange for if you haven't sold this product in the past and you haven't had clients before, reach out to a friend, give it to them in exchange for a video testimonials. Those are very powerful because people don't want to be the first ones to take your product or your service for a test run. People don't want to discover things first. Next slide, please. Okay, now something really cool is that with Plan, which is amazing, you can distribute your content in a click of a button to TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. So you're not creating 4 pieces of content for every single platform, which is a game changer. So what I would do is I would create this one piece of content, distribute it to all these channels. And now that you have this piece of content, I would upload it to Etsy and Amazon, because Amazon recently integrated an AI feature that targets people looking for your product. So it's not like on social media that you have to use a lot of keywords to get them to people to go to your products. Amazon has been amazing to feed these videos of these products straight to the people already looking for this stuff. So make sure that if you're product based, to create these demo videos that I talked about and upload them to Amazon and Etsy. And they're very bingeable. The other day I was binging like crazy. And then don't forget to inject a lot of keywords across all your channels. Look up on Google how people are searching for your products or their problems, and use these keywords. We can go on to the next slide. Okay. And then don't forget that we want to create a multi-dimensional experience with our products through video. We want to be top of mind. We don't only want to be top of mind. We also want to be tip of tongue, because we can remember things better, not only when we see them, but when we're speaking about them. That's why conversations are so important on social media. So generate conversations on social media. Use keywords in your conversations. I think Kat was going to be talking more about this, but engage a lot and use these because these are going to appear on Google searches. And actually 62% of universal searches on Google include a video. So take advantage that Google is showing a lot of social media videos on search. And that's it. Thank you.
Awesome. So we've gotten some great information about building your social media strategy and then how to leverage video as part of that. And we're going to kind of wrap those together and chat about how you can stand out from all the noise, because I think as small business owners, we all get that, like, especially leading into the holiday season, there's so much content being posted. Everyone is sharing, and it can feel like we are just drowning and our business message is being lost. So we're going to chat about how do we stand out. And it's like a really great time to chat about this, because we are 4 weeks exactly from Black Friday. So 4 weeks today, people will be finishing up their turkey and then going and sending all that money. So we have 4 weeks to really prepare ourselves. So when we're thinking about that Black Friday content, it doesn't just start on Thanksgiving. We really need to be building that momentum now. And as small business owners, one of the biggest things that we need to leverage is our story. So while there might be other people that do what you do or sell similar products, no one is you. There's something special. There's a reason why you do your business. There's a reason why people shop from you. And it's really important to leverage that and build that up heading into that really noisy time, because that content is really what helps you stand out from the competition. So we're going to chat about how we leverage well-performing content and how we build engagement to lead up to Black Friday. So when we're thinking about standing out on social, one of the key things is real videos. So just like Sarah was saying, like that, there's so much power in video content. And while there is a time and place for, stock photos or videos on social, when we're really preparing for a busy launch period, that's not the time. We really want to focus on that real video that's either showing you working. So it could be putting those settings in your phone so you have a high quality content, and then sticking it up like with a tripod and capturing yourself, whether it's like typing on the computer or if you're a chiropractor, like adjusting a client, whatever working looks like for you, grabbing some of that content is going to be so powerful because it lets people see who you are and get a sense to know you. And I know it's like really overwhelming when we think about like having to film ourselves like head on. But there's a lot of ways you can get creative in showcasing how you work. Like, is it an overhead of you packing orders or making your product? That's all a way to build that connection and stand out from, you know, the Amazon basics version of something similar to your product. It's a way for people to connect with you. And that's so, so powerful. And we also want to think about your account setup in your profile. So when someone's seeing that great content from your strategy and the video content that you created, when they come to your profile, do they have the key information that they need to take the next step? So thinking about when someone comes to your profile, what do they need to know in order to connect with you and see what makes you different? So we're going to look at your posts, your highlights, your bio, all those pieces and how they work together. So when we're looking at your profile, the first thing we can kind of look at is your bio. And this is a really important place to use a call to action and help people take that next step with you. So making sure that you're telling people exactly what you want to do when they come to your profile. So do you want them to sign up for your email list, get 10% off? Do you want them to start a free trial, book a free consultation call, whatever that looks like? Make sure you're calling that out specifically in your bio. You also want to make sure you have a high quality profile photo. If you are a solopreneur, I highly recommend using a photo of you as your profile photo. It's just another opportunity for people to build that like personal connection. If not, you want to make sure that your logo is properly formatted. It's a high quality image, so everything is looking good. The next thing you want to look at on your profile is your highlights and your pinned posts. And these two pieces of your profile can work really well together and kind of mirror the content in both places. So it's an opportunity to tell people when they come to your profile who you are, what makes you special, and why they should work with you. So thinking about, is it like a founder's story, like the story of the business, the why? That would be a really powerful piece of content to put out leading to Black Friday. Have that pinned to your profile so that when people come to your profile, they get that key information. And the same thing you want to see shared in your highlights as well. So that could be some top performing content, some content that really gives like a vibe of your business. So if you've been sharing Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift memes lately, and like that's something that you know your audience appreciates, like having that pinned or as part of your highlights, that way people instantly get a sense of like the vibe of your brand once they come to your account. And one of the key things as we think about like building that engagement before we sell is we don't need to reinvent the wheel. So you already have a landmine, a gold mine of content sitting in your Instagram that you can repurpose. So one of my biggest tips for you is to go into those insights and look at your content from the past year and see what has performed best. So looking at posts and seeing what got the most comments, and then looking at either straight up reposting that, or maybe it's grabbing the same graphic and editing the caption a little bit, but using those top posts and either, as I said, reposting it. No one's going to know. I think that's a huge missed opportunity that a lot of businesses do, is we're always creating new content, but not all of our audience is seeing our content. And even if they did see it, maybe they didn't fully engage with it, or maybe, they were feeding a baby or in line at the grocery store. So we really need to reshare those messages to make an impact. So looking at your posts that got the most comments in terms of like building that community, and also looking at like what reels have gotten the most shares, because that way we're building up that momentum leading to Black Friday and really getting a sense of what worked well in the past and how do we replicate that going forward. And one of the other things you can do to really leverage some of that content and tell your story on social is thinking about what makes you different. That why, the why of your business. So whether you're a one-person shop or even like a larger small business, thinking about the why you do what you do, what's the mission and vision of the business, telling those stories is what's going to make you stand out from those larger brands. And really thinking about why do people choose to work with you or purchase your product versus buying from Amazon or going to like a major retailer. There's a reason they're coming and working with you. So highlighting those and turning those into posts as well. And the last tip I'll share is about using engagement to humanize your brand. So social media is really noisy, and it's easy to think of it as like a one-way street. Like if you think about a billboard, we put it out there, people drive by, and we hope for the best. But the great thing with social media is we have the opportunity to have two-way conversations and actively engage with our audience. So we're not just sitting and waiting for it. We can go out and make that engagement happen. So as a small business owner, I recommend setting aside, even if it's just like 5 minutes a day, of intentional engagement. So not necessarily the same as like when we're watching TV and scrolling on our phone, but time where we're really sitting down and we're leaving those comments. We're looking for those brands and those influencers, those people in our community that have those connections, and making sure that we are meaningfully and genuinely engaging with them.
Amazing. That was so helpful. And really good segue into, I guess, actionable tips to build your sales funnel. I think this topic out of all of them that are being covered today is probably might be the most foreign to everybody. I started in organic social media, and then I noticed that, paid ads was becoming a much bigger thing. This was about 5 years ago. And I invested so much time and so much energy into learning paid ads. It's definitely not something that you can, come to a webinar like this, and if you don't have experience, walk away and know exactly how to do it. So I guess I just wanted to preface that when I go through this topic, if you're feeling like it's going over your head or if you're feeling like it's confusing, that's actually really normal. And I would love it if you could reach out to me if you have any questions. Or if you're interested in learning more about this topic. But if you do know a bit about ads, if you've run ads for your business before, hopefully a lot of this will make sense. And I think this is a really great topic to be covering in the lead up to Black Friday and Cyber Monday, because if you are interested in trialing out paid ads, now is a really exciting time to do it. So obviously we've covered that Black Friday and Cyber Monday are some of the biggest days in the marketing calendar every year. And then dotted around these, we have Halloween, we've got Thanksgiving, we've got Christmas. And I think to get the results that you want from a paid ads perspective, you do need to be prepared months in advance. So I know we're a month out. So right now, there's probably not too much that you can implement straight away right now, but you can absolutely get started with paid ads, or even just start thinking about paid ads beyond Black Friday. Maybe it's into 2024, maybe it's starting now, so that when Black Friday comes around next year, you've got a really solid strategy behind you, solid experience and solid data. So I think one thing to mention as well about the paid ad space in the Black Friday season is that it's extremely competitive. So it's, if you are just getting into paid ads now, you are starting at a very competitive time. And I want to run through what you can do to prepare for this and to make sure that, you're actually showing up and achieving the results that you want to be in this Black Friday. Moving on to the next slide if we can. Okay, so This is an example of a meta ads funnel that we would put together in a strategy for one of our clients. So you can see here that there's two different phases. We've got the top of funnel, which is focused on brand awareness. It's focused on bringing in colder audiences who haven't heard of us before into our funnel by raising awareness of who we are, what we do, and how we can help them. So I'm going to dive into this in more detail, but essentially an example of this might be, okay, we're going to run a top of funnel campaign. It's going to be targeting people who are cold, which means they've never heard of us before. And 3 ways that you might be able to do this is by running an interest-based audience. And what this means is that you can manually put in the interest that you think your audience will have. So for example, if I know there's a tattoo artist watching, I'm going to use you as an example again. What kind of interest would your customer have? Obviously, it would be things like tattoos, which you can target as an interest. It might be things like what they might be interested in outside of that as well. So it doesn't need to be specifically related to your industry, but they might be somebody, is your audience typically a mother? Are they typically childless? Are they typically a certain age demographic? You can actually manually put in the interests, the demographics, and the behaviors that your audience might have. And then you can have what's called a lookalike audience. And the lookalike audience is probably one of my favorite things about paid ads. They're so cool. Essentially what it is it's a Facebook and Instagram segmentation tool that finds users who have similar interests, similar demographics, and similar online behaviors to your existing audiences. So as an example, let's say you were looking at your data from the website visitors that you've had in the last 30 days. Facebook will be able to have access to those people, not knowing it's exactly who they are as individuals, but they will be able to connect the dots between that group in terms of, okay, if we're looking at all of the website traffic that we've generated in the last 30 days, what does this group of people have in common? Where do they live? What are they interested in? What website pages are they looking at? What social media pages are they engaging with? What kind of content are they engaging with? What have they bought recently? It's taking all of that data and all of that information, and then what it does is it, with a lookalike audience, is it will find users who have similar interests, similar demographics, and similar online behaviors to that existing audience. So it's essentially marketing gold in terms of finding new customers who haven't heard of you before, but they're very similar to the people that you already have visiting your website, you already have reaching out to you for help. So a really cool thing is about lookalike audiences when you add them into your top of funnel campaign. And then we usually have like a broad ad set. So that might be, we're not getting too into the nitty gritty with, okay, they're interested in 15 different things. We might just keep it very broad, a broad age demographic, a broad interest, a broad amount of interests. And that way we're targeting a way bigger pool of people, and then we can slowly learn who's actually engaging with our ads out of that big pool of people. Then we move into the second phase, which is the bottom of funnel. And this is the fun part for me, because this is where you can actually retarget people who have engaged with you at that first phase. So for example, you can retarget your website visitors, you can retarget your Instagram engagement, you can retarget your email list, for example. And the power in this is because when you're retargeting somebody, they're so much more likely to buy from you or to buy your products or services when they've engaged with you before. So if you were introducing yourself to somebody on paid ads for the first time, it's going to take them maybe a couple more interactions with your brand before they feel ready to actually go ahead and book in with you or buy something from you. But when you're retargeting your audiences, they already know who you are, what you're good at, what you specialize in, what your product selections are. They might already have their eye on a certain thing that you sell. So getting in front of that audience again and again is like reminding them, hey, remember you were looking at this dress online, and here's a voucher, for example. You might want to offer them an incentive to actually complete that purchase. I'm sure many of you have experienced this as users when, say, for example, you go online, you search for a new pair of shoes, and then suddenly that pair of shoes is following you everywhere that you go online. That is the power of retargeting. And it's the same with, say, for a lookalike audience. If you have been Googling new pairs of shoes and then you go on your social media and all of a sudden these new shoe brands that you've never heard before are showing up for you, that's because you've been put in that lookalike audience and they've recognized, okay, that person's looking for a new pair of shoes. Let's get in front of them with our ads. Cool. So moving to the next slide, if we can. I want to chat a bit about that first phase that I mentioned, which is the data building and the top of funnel. And this is such an important thing to be doing before Black Friday, but also you've got a chance to start doing it now in the lead up to Christmas as well. So right now, and for the duration of your advertising up until Christmas, one of your key focuses should absolutely be on collecting data. So what that means is building out what are called your custom audiences. So building out your website traffic, building out your engagement, your email list, and then also generating more actions on your website. So getting people to add to cart more, browse your products more, maybe contact you and sign up to something on your website. You want them to be taking as many actions as possible in this period. So as I mentioned before, when it comes to Instagram and Facebook ads, custom audiences are your retargetable audiences. And they're the people who already know about your brand and therefore they're further along that customer journey and more likely to buy from you. But for a retargetable audience to be fully optimized, it needs to be at least 1,000 in size. So if we go back to that example I used before of retargeting, say, your website visitors in the last 30 days, you'd want your website traffic from the last 30 days to be at least 1,000 in size in order to see success from retargeting that group. So that's why it's really important that we have this first phase to build up that data, build up the amount of website traffic we're getting or email list or whatever it is that you're wanting to retarget, so that you do have over 1,000, or maybe you end up having 5,000. So you've got this big pool of retargetable data and these people who know your brand, they've interacted with you. So therefore that's telling you they're interested in your products, they're interested in your services, and they're much more likely to purchase through an ad. So if you've received 1,000 website visitors, but over the last 30 days, keep in mind that you would be retargeting people who haven't thought about your business in a month. So if I was looking for shoes 30 days ago and I visited your website selling shoes, but I haven't visited in another 30 days, I might have already found the shoes or I've gone with a competitor or something along those lines. So in other words, what I'm trying to say there is that the more data that you can collect, the fresh data, the better your experience with retargeting is going to be, because you're going to have fresh data there and people who have been looking at your website within the last 7 days, for example. So they're still in that customer buying mindset. So yeah, running ads as early as possible before Black Friday is definitely my recommendation, because it will allow your Facebook pixel to learn as much as possible of how to effectively deliver your ads, generating as many conversions for the cheapest cost possible. So that's another thing. I don't touch on the Facebook pixel too much in this, but if you don't have your Facebook pixel installed, that's your first bit of homework, is to get that on your website. If you've run Meta ads campaigns in the past, you'll know that the first step to building a campaign is to actually decide on an objective. But something that not many people know is that in order for your ads, let's say, for example, you choose the conversions objective and you choose to optimize for purchases. So you're setting up a campaign, you want conversions, you want sales. For your ads to be optimized to actually generate those sales that you want, you need to receive at least 50 of those actions already within the last 28 days on your website. So if I wanted to optimize for people to buy my products on my website, I would need that to have already occurred at least 50 times within the last 28 days in order for Facebook and Instagram to know what it takes to get somebody to complete that action on my website. So if you're thinking, okay, well, I haven't gotten 50 purchases in the last 28 days, that doesn't mean that you can't use ads. It means that you would want to choose a different objective that you have received 50 of. So maybe you've received 50 email signups, maybe you've received 50 add to carts, maybe you've received 50 people looking at a particular web page. And then what you can do is you can optimize for that action and slowly build your way up to the purchasing once you have been running ads for a few months. So you can see how running ads as soon as possible is really important, particularly for this phase. So you can build up the amount of actions that are happening on your website before Black Friday, so you can optimize for the most valuable action on your website once Black Friday actually comes around. Moving on to the next slide, as a bit of a summary. Up until Christmas, you would want to be investing in that top of funnel campaign that focuses on targeting cold audiences who haven't heard of you before, teaching them about your brand, establishing a relationship with them, and building trust and interest. So at this point, your ads shouldn't be too salesy, but rather treat your ads as a first introduction to your brand. So you don't really want to jump in front of these new audiences and be like, buy our products, sale on now. You'd want to be actually coming back to what I was talking a bit about in that strategy session about raising awareness of why you're different, what problems you solve, tapping into what's your audience feeling right now and how do you want them to feel. So instead of being salesy, you're being relatable and you're sharing content that is speaking to the pain points of your audience, and also sharing information about why your brand's different, what your unique selling points are, and why they should buy from you versus from your competitors. So I think one thing to consider here is that if you're running ads in the first phase, it does need to be really great creative. So I would definitely recommend doing videos. A lot of the content and the tips that we've shared today would be perfect for using in ads as well. So your organic content can be used in ads, which is really cool. But essentially you want to treat it as a first introduction. They haven't heard of you before. So you want to be touching on those pain points before you go to the hard sell. And then on to the next slide, we get to the fun part, which is retargeting. So this is the fun part because this is where you get to leverage off all of that beautiful data that you've been building in phase 1. And it's typically where you start to see your strongest paid ads results. In phase 2, you want to be retargeting your biggest available audiences. So one of the easiest ways to find out what that is in Events Manager, or if you've got Google Analytics, that's another really great way to look at that. So looking at, okay, have we received heaps of add to carts in the last 30 days, heaps of abandoned carts? Can we retarget those people? Can we offer them an incentive to complete that purchase? Is it website traffic that you've generated the most of? Or maybe it's Instagram engagement. Maybe all of these content tips that you've been implementing from us today have meant that your engagement is through the roof. So you want to retarget all of those people who have engaged with your Instagram with ads. And then when you're retargeting, it's important to look at the key things that might be holding your customers back from already converting. So again, speaking to those pain points very clearly within your copy and creative, and thinking about where they're at in the customer journey. They've obviously visited your website or they've already engaged with you on Instagram. Where would their head be at this point in the customer journey, and what's holding them back from actually reaching out to you for your services or buying your product? Maybe it's the cost. Maybe it's the shipping times and the shipping costs that are added at checkout. Maybe you need more social proof. Maybe they need to see more testimonials from you. Maybe they need to see more user-generated content of people wearing your products or using your products. Maybe you need to give them more reason as to why your products and your services are actually going to change their life. So again, coming back to those all of the reasons that they could possibly have in their head as to why they don't want to purchase from you, and addressing that in your retargetable ads so that you can push them over that line and get them to complete that purchase. And Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales are a really great time to do a retargeting campaign, because you can get in front of those people who might have been holding back because it might be a cost thing. So you can get in front of them and be like, hey, you've been looking at this product for the last few weeks. It's actually on sale. Now is the time to buy it. And you can use that sense of urgency to actually get them to complete the purchase. Cool. Thanks, Gerda.
Awesome. I know I was taking a bunch of notes during that, and I'm sure everyone else was. That's so great. Thank you so much. I'll quickly go over this because I know we have some questions and I really want to get to our Q&A. But I'll quickly cover a feature at Plan with you, and this will be all about how to turn your Instagram account into a shoppable store. I've kept this really short and sweet because I don't want to distract from all the amazing things you've already learned. But EasyLink is a feature at Plan. It is our link in bio feature, and it helps you share content and sell your products all in one click. You can see on the right an example of what EasyLink looks like. It's completely customizable, so you can make it really look on brand. So for Kat, I feel like yours would be very, very pink. And it's really cool because it can basically be an extension of your website and your social media. You can do things like add visual links. So on the right-hand side where you see this cute little cocktail, this is a visual link. You can add a little carousel to include maybe different types of drinks that you sell. You can do simple links, which are just these kind of colored links here. And then also on EasyLink, it shows your entire Instagram grid. So as you can see here, your customer will be able to see your Instagram grid and then select and shop your individual posts. So all they'll have to do is click on this, and then it will take them to where your products are and where they can purchase them. Again, I don't want to spend too much time here because I would love to get into questions, but Renata, who works at Plan, she's on our amazing CS team. She will pop a link in the chat for you. If you click that, you'll be able to watch a tutorial on EasyLink. And it's actually my voice you'll hear walking you through how to set up and how to create this beautiful store. But with that being said, I know we are running at the end of time here. So we did pick a question each for each of our amazing guest speakers. However, though, if your question isn't answered now, please know that we'll do our best to answer them in the follow-up EDM that we send out after this webinar. But I'd also encourage you to, of course, connect with Jara and Kat and Sarah over on their social medias as well. Let's see, we have some great questions here. So the first question is actually for Sarah. This is a question about time management, and it is from Taylor. She asked, how much time should I dedicate to filming and editing videos? I feel it would take me so long to get to something that looks decent.
Yeah, it is time consuming. For a professional editor, for every 1 minute of video, it takes 1 hour of editing. So if it's taking you a while to edit, that's normal. This is an elaborated edit. But if you want to keep things simple, keep it simple. You're not a videographer. So try to keep it as simple as you can, but have that in mind of a professional when you're benchmarking yourself to a professional.
And I think we forget too, Sarah, that's a great point, but also that editing can be such a fun thing. I mean, it's crazy. A video can turn out so many different ways depending on the different sounds you use, the way you cut the video. So it can be a really fun part of the whole process.
Enjoy the experience and be creative, be different. Yeah, explore cool effects. Yeah.
Definitely. A question for you, Jara. This is from Shannon, and it's about digital marketing. She asks, do you have tips and tricks of how to retarget your audience on Meta? So maybe some really quick, pointy ones.
Do you mean how to physically do the retargeting, or do you mean how to get the most out of retargeting? Is that, I'm not sure what that question is.
It wasn't clarified. I think she's in the chat somewhere, but maybe, yeah, how to get the most, because I think maybe she asked it earlier before we got into your initial kind of retargeting slides, but I guess how to get the most of it.
Yes, so I would say that, again, coming back to that customer journey and where they're at, and thinking, okay, what's actually holding them back from that purchase? So sharing more user-generated content and things that are actually going to get them to complete that purchase. So thinking, testimonials, reviews, user-generated content, things that are going to address those pain points that they'd be experiencing and convince them to actually complete the purchase. Just in case she did mean how to physically do the retargeting, that is definitely not something I can explain. It's something that I'd have to show you. So if you are interested in learning that, I offer Facebook ads training, shameless plug here, but you can reach out to me and I'd be more than happy to show you how to physically do it. It's it's not as scary as it sounds.
That's awesome. I'm sure she will be reaching out to you for sure. And lastly, a question from Rebecca. This is for Kat. She asked, how can you stand out and show yourself in an authentic way without compromising professionalism? How can you find that fine line between relatable but still reliable and professional content?
Well, that's such a good question. And I think that fine line, every business is going to have a different line. Like some business owners, it's going to make more sense to get like a little more off the cuff. But there's still opportunities to show like the real side of things, but still keeping it refined and like curated. So even if it is like a behind the scenes reel as the example, so the video content could have like isn't going to be super fancy like it's going to be say you working, but you can choose an audio, like maybe you're not using like an office meme audio, but you're choosing like a really nice like aesthetic isn't the right word, but like a nice light like dreamy audio to go with it. And maybe then you're changing the cover photo so it's like a nice professional photo of you or of your product that shows on your feed, so you can balance that like realness with still the overall curated professional side. And I would encourage you to play around with some of that like more unfiltered content, again still keeping it within like your brand and the vibe you want to go, but people really want to see like the real side. I think there's like a big pushback on like that overly curated Instagram. So they want to see the real you and the real behind the scenes of the business.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that. I remember when Instagram, you had to be I was always so stressed about all the colors looking perfect and everything being so perfect in a certain way. So I love that we've moved into that more like authentic, like whatever you can do with what you have works, kind of content. I think it's so inviting and such a great place for everyone to start at. I know we have more questions. We will have to wrap this up though. And again, we will try and answer some more questions in our DMs. And I want to encourage you to please keep in touch with our amazing educators here today. Kat, Jara, Sarah, you all are so amazing. We are just so lucky to have you on and sharing all this amazing expert advice to our audiences and your audiences as well. So Renata actually will pop their socials in the chat below. Make sure to go follow them there. Also, please make sure to check your inbox because we will be sending out a replay of this webinar. We have a really special gift for you that our team has worked on. And also for any of you that are new to Plan, we have a really, really special discount for you. If you enjoyed today, of course, please go check out Plan, check out our amazing educators, and yeah, wishing you all a happy Black Friday. I know I'll be shopping, so maybe for any small businesses here, make sure to tag Plan. Our team will definitely come check out your products. But yeah, thank you so much, Jara, Sarah, Kat. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.